to the Penny for Our Thoughts podcast, where you can get a third-party opinion on your worries, concerns, or problems that you may have. But please do not keep it to yourself and give some to us. My name is John.
And I'm Gerald, and we're your hosts for today's episode of Penny for Our Thoughts. John, I feel like I say this every time, but it's a special episode today.
It is a very special episode today.
A double whammy.
Double. We don't have one guest. We have two.
We have two.
Well, guest, instead of saying silent, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Silas again. Currently like a movie addict right now during this quarantine-ish thing going on right now at the moment.
Okay, my name's William. You guys follow this podcast. You probably heard me at the end. I said I'll be back. I'm back.
Yeah, so both these guests have been on the show. So we have them again as a repeat guest. And the first episode that we have 4 guests.
4 people.
Oh, sorry. 2 guests, 4 people.
2 guests, 4 people. Yeah, we got some grizzled veterans in this episode.
And the first time we actually switched the order of hosts.
Yeah, I was busy today. I'm sorry.
No problem. All right, everyone ready to get started?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Gerald actually has no idea about the concerns. However, because there's 2 guests and 4 people total, we will do the concerns that we have. And then if we have more time, we'll do more. If we obviously have less time, we'll just do the concerns that we have. So these guys know the title. They actually chose the concerns themselves. They know the title of the concerns. But they don't know what's involved in it. All right, let's get started. First one is from Gay Constable. Title is, my parents think my boyfriend should help pay for my birth control. What the hell do I do? Hey everyone, I am 20 years old, non-binary with the vulva. So is my boyfriend. A cis man. Her boyfriend's a cis man. We've been dating for 3 weeks. I was talking to my mom and stepdad yesterday after I have received a negative pregnancy test from the doctors. And they were saying that I need him to pay half of my birth control. I don't think he should, since this is my body and it's my responsibility to take care of my body. But maybe they are right, since he is the one that would be getting me pregnant. For even more context, I have always practiced safe sex, but last year I got pregnant. Basically the 1% and had a miscarriage. The 1% meaning that I was having safe sex, but I still got pregnant. I've been on the edge and extra careful even more after that. I knew the test was going to be negative, but I just needed the peace of mind. They also think he should be paying for my UTI medication, as I've had 2 since we started dating / being sexually active, and I keep myself incredibly clean. And while I don't blame him, he does use 3-in-1 shower soap, and I've heard that since it isn't good quality, it can affect your partner. I think if we would have been dating for longer, this would make more sense. But our relationship is still fresh, and I don't want to ruin anything with him. Just for your information, the birth control method she's using and the cost of that is $25 a month.
What is the method? I know it's $25 a month, but what is it?
I assume it's a pill?
I'm guessing pills, yeah.
Like birth control pills?
So they actually told Gay Constable actually added a little bit more. So I'm getting, this is like more information. So I'm getting an appointment with a new gyno that accepts my insurance to get the 12-year IUD. And with my insurance, it should cost almost nothing. I have 1 month left of my birth control pill. So I'm doing research on an IUD. Currently, it's only $25 a month though. So the birth controls is $25 a month by the looks of it.
So her parents, I think it's her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her parents want her to split that in half with her partner.
Yes. I guess it can, let's just, I don't think it's a her because it's non-binary. So
Right. Yeah, that's
They-
why
Whatever,
I'm just
whatever their,
yeah.
yeah.
Gay
pronouns.
Constable is the usernames. If you want to use that, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just call them constable.
That's fine.
I think, especially regarding that the relationship is fresh and constable is already taking responsibility of like taking birth control. Constable is already taking the insight to take the birth control already, and it's on her at the moment. Unless like this becomes a bit more serious, then I wouldn't say it's like right, but it can be mentioned to the partner to see if we can share the cost of sharing the birth control methods or whatnot. The parents, I don't think, should have a say directly to the relationship, whether it's like right or wrong, unless it's like blatantly like someone who's like a convict or something. Then
Right.
yeah, that's when like the parents should step in. But right now, it's like a fresh relationship. I don't think the parents can have a say, but it shouldn't be like pushing towards the costs.
Shouldn't be the be all end all.
Yeah.
Did they say who got them pregnant the first time? Was it the same boyfriend?
It doesn't necessarily specifically say, but I am going to assume that.
Okay.
Really? I would assume not, because if the relationship is fresh and she had the
yeah.
miscarriage,
You make a good
while
point,
back-
actually. Yeah, so never mind. With that
Yeah.
point, I wouldn't assume it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
person.
assuming that's why she's being really careful now with a fresh relationship.
Yeah.
This isn't really what the question is asking, but as the boyfriend, I don't think I would mind splitting that cost. Like if I was the partner in that case and there was like, and we were having like regular sex, right? I don't think I would mind splitting that cost, especially if I personally, I don't know how the boyfriend feels. If I see it going the long run, it's like, yeah, why not? We're in this together. We're committed, right? But I don't know what the context of the relationship is.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think I wouldn't mind paying for it. I think you guys are both you're both getting the enjoyment out of using birth control, I guess, by
Yeah.
having sex. So I think I would be okay with it as a person. But then the question is it okay for Constable's parents and Constable to say, hey, I think you should, or hey, you need to pay for half the birth control, which is $25 a month.
So it's more of the idea rather than like practicality.
Yeah.
12 bucks a month. I'm like, I'd support my partner for that. Right. If she asked me, but I'm assuming like it's the idea of having the partner pay for half of the,
Yes.
that we're kind of arguing here. I don't think I see anything wrong with it. Like I haven't thought too deeply yet, but like what's really what could the issue be? Like what's the real crux here?
I think when you put a financial sort of impact in a relationship, like a financial decision, I think the stage at the relationship that they're in, I think the earlier that it is, that bringing it up, it can be a very sensitive topic and it can turn a relationship in a direction that wasn't intended.
So then it's the financial commitment then
Yeah.
that
So-
you're looking at
I
here,
think-
as opposed to the idea of having your partner, like assuming that this is the partner you're going to be with, that they're going to pay for your birth control.
Yeah, if they knew that they're like, not soulmates, but like close to that at least,
Serious.
then I think yes, like as you mentioned before, you'd be willing to chip in for it. I'm sure he'd be willing to chip in for it if that was how he felt that their relationship was at. But obviously, we know even less about his side of things and how he sort of views, I guess, birth control in general.
Sorry, so I'm a little confused. So you think it's okay to get Constable and her parents, or Constable's parents?
I think it's not a terrible thing to mention, but it can be a very sensitive thing. And I don't think I don't like the parents aspect
Yeah.
of this sort of thing. Like if she was the one that solely kind of said, can you help me out, that kind of thing, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But I think an outside party, although they're her parents, they almost have no like physical connection to their sexual relationship, right? They're sort of bystanders in that regards, even though they're close parent-child relationship. There are some things when their child, like when you go into a relationship, I think those are one of the few things where it should be just between the two people involved.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to go on. I don't think it's not. I don't want to say it's not okay. I just think the parents should really not be involved in that situation. I mean, they can suggest it. I mean, that's fine. But like, it feels like from the concern that Constable is saying, if it feels like the parents are telling Constable to force it on to Constable's partner to pay for half the birth control. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think the parents should have any say in this. And if Constable is financially burdened by the cost of the birth control pills, then I think it's fair to ask. However, saying that, let's say Constable does ask the partner and the partner's like, no, I don't want to pay for it. I think that's okay too.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I would help pay. But if the partner decides not to pay, I think I'm 100% okay with that too.
Yeah. I think that's his choice.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then I guess that gives Constable a better insight on how he feels about their relationship right now, right? Just even though it's a very small aspect, like, assuming they talk about it, every time you have a conversation in a relationship, you should learn a little bit more about that person, whether or not that's valuable or not.
Another argument could be, though, is that, like you said before, they're both enjoying it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we bring it out of this specific topic, like let's say you give your friend your Netflix password, right? I don't think it would be. I think I would side more towards the person who asked whose original Netflix account it would be. If they asked their friend, "Hey, can you help chip in for my Netflix?" I think I would side more to the person asking. You know what I mean?
I can see that, but then the person asking could be like, okay, sorry, I don't want to give it to you. I think that's fair. Let's say for example, Gerald, I have Netflix and you wanted my Netflix and then you used it. And eventually I was like, hey, can you share the cost and pay for it? And if you say no, that's fine. I just will change my password and not give it to you. I think that's the same idea in this case. So like with birth control, right? If Constable doesn't want to pay for the birth control, it's completely up to her. Just don't have sex at that point.
Or she could ask him to buy the condoms.
Exactly.
Right.
I think that's completely fair. Yeah. So either whatever the answer to hey, can you help pitch in? Even if they say no, I think it's completely fine because Constable will be like, okay, that's fine. It's my choice whether to take birth control or not.
Yeah.
And if you won't help pay for it, that's fine. I'm not gonna buy it anymore. So if you want to have sex without birth control, then you have to buy condoms or whatever, or we just won't have it at all. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Right? She has a choice to have sex with someone or not, or have sexual activity with someone. And if she feels, let's say condoms aren't safe but she feels birth control is more safer and she doesn't want to pay for it, then they just don't do it.
Yeah.
I think that I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
If she still decides to have sex despite all that, I guess ultimately it's her responsibility. She already says she's very responsible. So,
and there's a part of another one. It was the whole UTI because she got 2 UTIs in the span of them being in relationships, and obviously there was medication involved in that. So her parents feel like Constable's partner, should pay for those medication. I don't know what you think about that.
Oh, that's interesting.
If someone gives you a cold, do you expect the person giving you a cold to pay for your cold meds? Right?
That's a great point.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
For one, I'm not telling him to not take responsibility, take better showers, whatever, right? But I don't think he has an obligation to. Again, if he feels compelled to, I have nothing against that either. Sorry, I cut you off, Silas. What are you saying?
Oh yeah, it's coming into that fact, like what Gerald said, especially catching a cold and everything. It's like Constable's body, and she can choose what she wants to do, right? So in pursuit of her health, technically, of course she has to go to a doctor and get the medications necessary for to get treatment of the UTIs. But it's a bit of a different subject in comparison to birth control.
I think it's very similar to the birth control. Ideally, the guy would be willing to say this was consensual, but because I was a part of it, I was a cause to it, right? So if he was willing to do it, that's great. But again, he shouldn't be, he shouldn't have obligated to do that. in an ideal world, yes, he would offer it up,
Be
but
the gentleman, I guess.
but this is all ideals.
Yeah, again, I think what you said summed it up quickly. Like
Yeah.
if someone gets you a cold, they can make them pay for your cold medicine. No. I can see that it can all add up, right? With birth control pills and the UTI medication. I don't know how much it costs. It's free here in this country, I think. I'm guessing. Again, I don't know. But it's not really, because again, if you don't want the UTI in general, the only way you can avoid it by just not having that activity.
Or
right?
be more hygienic.
Yeah. And I don't know. The whole using the 3-in-1 thing, I don't think that would cause it. It could, maybe.
Maybe he's just not using it well. I don't know.
I don't know. When she said that might be the cause of it, like the first thought in my mind is like, is it like one of those people who go to the washroom and then when they're done using the washroom, do they just dip their fingers in the sink and then they say, I wash my hands? Right? It's like one of those things, right? Like, we can't, there's no way to tell unless we've witnessed his hygienic habits.
Yeah.
And maybe you guys know this. Maybe he's not Constable's partner that's not hygienic.
It could be her.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be
her. It could be. We just don't know, right?
If it's UTI from sex, then it could
be either or.
It could be him, yeah.
I think the assumption here is that she is hygienic because she said she's gotten it, so she's being very careful. So that doesn't necessarily mean she's actually like doing it right, but I would like the way that she's explaining. I'm like, okay, like I think she's trying. Maybe you're not cleaning yourself the right way, but I don't know. This is just I think this is just a side note.
I'm not an expert on, female hygiene.
So this is the last one I could think of is she also Constable did also say that they might be right, as in the parents might be right, since he's the one who would be getting me pregnant. Therefore, Constable believes that, the partner should pitch in.
That could be taken a couple of ways, I think. Is she saying like, he will eventually father my child? Or out of everyone, he's the only one I'm having sex with right now. So he's the only one that could possibly get me pregnant.
Well, let's do the latter.
So like, he is my current partner.
Yes.
So therefore, he will be the only one that could possibly get me pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like he could be, the gentleman, the nice guy, and offer. But I don't think he necessarily has an obligation. I think it's okay for him to say no because there's other options at that point.
And in turn, if she's serious about not getting pregnant and getting UTIs, if she's serious about that, she would also say no to sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or she can pay for birth control. He can also buy condoms.
It's basically she can't have it both ways if he's going to say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
He says no, she can't have both things.
Okay.
Like, they'll have to find another solution.
That's fair.
And I kind of, just going back, I kind of want to give the parents the benefit of the doubt here. I don't want to assume that they're forcing their, ideals on the couple. It kind of sounds like they are, but I just kind of want, in my head right now, they're like giving her the suggestion and it's making her, have second thoughts.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, because Constable is 20, right? That's relatively young. You could be in school.
Yeah.
Right. And then paying $25 a month could be a financial burden. Like that 100% could be true. I have no idea how old the partner is or the boyfriend is, so it doesn't tell me on here.
I thought it did. I thought it was like 22.
It says that Constable's 20. Doesn't tell me though Constable's partner's age.
Never mind then.
Yeah. Well, I guess last question for everyone here is this: Would you ask your partner to like buy condoms or split the cost? Would you do it?
Yeah. I wouldn't be offended if they said no.
Yeah.
You would ask?
I wouldn't.
I'm honest. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I chose
either.
to do it. I have to pay for it. I mean, if I want to use that method, obviously.
Yes, yeah. We're talking about this because we're all guys here. So
Right.
that's the method that we would be readily available to us.
Right.
So would you, so Will wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask. You said you would ask?
Yeah.
You would ask?
I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't be like, you have to. She said, yes, that'd be great. If no, then I'm like, well, that's fine.
So, okay, well, why wouldn't you ask?
Why wouldn't I ask?
Yeah.
I mean, it was my choice, right? Like, I know it's a consensual activity,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just feel personally very awkward kind of asking that question if I had a partner.
Yeah, that's fair.
Be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna have sex. I'm short on $5. Can you spot me for these condoms? Like, it's kind of weird. I would just
Yeah, I can see like your point of view. Like the only way I could ask is like if she's already out to a pharmacy, then I could be like, can you pick some up? Because at that point she's already there.
Yeah.
Right. But if again, I wouldn't be like, your
turn to buy.
your turn to buy.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't do
No.
your turn to buy.
I lean closer to what you were saying. It's not like a split 50-50, but if it's like, hey, you mind grabbing this time, or like that sort of thing, for whatever reason, right? I think it's the same situation as the concern here, where the partner shouldn't have to feel obligated to, but I think it's perfectly fine to ask.
Silas?
I would say like yes, also mainly because I guess no, I would backtrack it just a little bit, just depending on like the length of the relationship and like how much you're invested into it.
That's fair.
Like for example, condoms. If it's just like 3 weeks, yeah, just get condoms. But for like actual like the in vitro stuff, like that's can get costly, and especially if it's a long term relationship.
Yeah.
Like let's say 2+ years, and like you don't want kids at the moment, maybe that can be an option as a cost again. So it's like a yes and no for me. But if it's like, especially for like a 3-week thing, like yeah, definitely ask. It's like in regards to like birth control options, I would say like condoms.
So so you're saying depends. Well, condoms is not that expensive. You'll be like, whatever.
Yeah.
But then if you're doing like something that is more of a medical procedure,
Yeah.
then you would be like, okay, that makes sense. I
Yeah,
can pay.
yeah. Depending how long you're invested into the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to be just for the record, like I'm thinking about my relationship. We've been together for years, so like I'm comfortable enough to bring something like that up, right? But if it was, again, like you said, a few weeks old, I wouldn't be like, hey, you wanna, like you spot me $5,
Like, well,
spot me a $5.
Yeah, personally for me, it'd probably be between like a few weeks to a few months. That's like the fling relationship.
Yeah, for me it'd be like I'd have to be pretty comfortable with my partner.
Yeah, that's why I would say like yes. Well, in regards to the situation, I would say yes. Yeah.
okay, so I just thought of one more question while we were
that's
thinking
fine.
about it. Is right now for the men is really we only have condoms, right? So let's say if like science obviously gets better and there's an oral contraceptive for men, would you be open to it?
A lot of caveats there. If it's
Like again, assuming, because I mean, it is hormonal, because assuming, I don't want to assume that, because I know the birth control pills that obviously women take is hormonal, right? And I'm not the person to like mess with my hormones in any way possible, but let's just say it wasn't hormonal, but it worked. Just like birth, like it has a pretty high effective rate. But again, you don't know exactly what's in it, just like you don't know what's exactly in birth control pills. Would you take it?
I'd research for sure, like what are the side effects, just like any medication, right? Research side effects and whatnot. I don't think I would shut it out completely, but I'd be more hesitant just because I know less about it.
Yeah, that I would kind of agree with that. I would probably go more for like the tried and true instead of like experimental stuff.
Be like for a special night.
But then what if your partner is like, oh, I don't want us to use that. I don't want to use condom. Like, I want you to take this. Because there's a lot of guys out there that will tell their partners to be like, hey, I don't want to use condoms. Get on birth control. Get on other methods other than like oral or whatever. Right?
That's terrible.
Yeah,
It is. But it is out there, right? We can't deny that. So let's say the roles were flipped, right? And the girls are like, I don't want to take, let's say they took pills, and then they're like, well, now there's a new oral contraceptive for men now. I want to take a little break from these pills. I don't want to use condoms because I guess they didn't use it for the longest time, and they asked you to take it.
I think there would be a little bit of resentment if I got asked that. In my head, I would have to be the one bringing it up first. Whoever's taking it would have to be like the one bringing up willingly that, hey, we should do this. You know what I mean?
So if your significant other asks you, like, hey, do you? Oh, so I guess they didn't blatantly tell you. They're like, hey, are you okay with taking these? They just asked you.
If they just asked,
Yeah.
Instead of like, hey, can you take these?
Yeah.
Are you okay with taking these? Is the question.
Well, I guess the both ways. I guess isn't it the same? I guess, is it different to you? Like they say, can you take these, or like, are you willing to take these? Like, is it different to you?
Like, I think most people would prefer options rather than absolutes. That's the thing.
But both those methods of asking the question isn't absolute. It's like, can you or are you? I guess.
I think I just built a scenario in my head with two questions. The are you okay with taking these would be like, hey, let's do research on this. Let's see if you'd be okay with taking these. And the can you take these would be like, it's in their hands. Here, can you take this?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
That's what's in my head.
Okay, don't
Yeah.
don't do that. Let's like, oh, hey, can you
Like which one of those two were you asking?
let's just say, are you? Yeah.
Are you willing? Like, do you want to?
Yeah, let's research it and then like.
Yeah, I'd be open to it. I'd be open to researching it because, like you said, we don't know anything about it, right? But if it messes with stuff, I wouldn't expect her to take something that messes her up, right?
Yeah, who would say no? Like researching it has no consequences. Like you just know better if anything, right?
Yeah. Can you look into these? Do you
I
wanna-
guess-
you look into it, and if it's a great option, great, you got another option. But if it's not, then it's just gotta look for another option.
I guess it's more like the other situation then.
Or
It's
the other
more
one.
like, can you take these instead of
yeah.
this?
Then I would try to bring it back to the other one. We're like, hey, let's look into it together. Let's see what it does to the body.
Or just force her to take the pill too, so it's double effective, right? You take one. Oh, you make me take one. Yeah, you take one too.
Like, hey, can you take these?
An eye for an eye, sort of.
Eye for an eye.
That came
Oh my
up
God.
on our last episode.
Oh.
You probably didn't hear it because it's not aired
Yeah.
yet, but yes, Daniel mentioned eye for an eye last.
No, I'm
episode.
just kidding. I'm just kidding about that, though.
I don't think Daniel was.
Well, I am. I'm gonna make that very clear. For the record, I am joking. Oh, but kind of going back to that condom sort of topic, the reason why I would say I'm willing to pay for it and like not even question it is if I have to question that, like if I have to like ask her like, oh, can you split the cost with me or whatever? What happens if she gets pregnant? What kind of a guy am I then, right? Like I feel like since I'm a big component to somebody getting pregnant, right? Because if I don't do it, then they don't get pregnant. It's as simple as that, right?
They don't get pregnant from you.
Yeah. So exactly. So if I'm not even willing to take that small like financial sort of insurance, then I shouldn't be doing it at all. Then, like, I don't think like my mindset for me personally, my mindset wouldn't be in the right place for even the worst case scenarios that would happen. Like if the condom fails, they're pregnant, it's just like, okay, well, like if I'm this financially picky about condoms, like I think I would be a terrible father.
That's true.
Yeah.
And actually, I kind of thought back and I mentioned that there are guys out there that ask their girlfriends to take birth control or whatever. We had a concern about it. It's actually on our previous episode where the guy didn't want to wear a condom whatsoever, and then he wanted her to take the morning after pill after.
That was I remember
while
that.
back.
Yeah, that's
I
like-
remember that.
And that's where
yeah.
I'm kind of like getting to it. I'm like, oh yeah, there was someone like that. Yeah, if that's the case.
Strangely, I'm kind of thinking about it. If the girlfriend was like, if the person who's taking the pill was okay with it, but the other partner was the one kind of forcing it, I feel like they should take the financial burden for that then, because they're kind of forcing it. Like I don't know why she would be okay with it because he forces it, but like
She wasn't okay with it from the concern.
yeah, I know from that concern, but I'm just kind of twisting it where like
Oh,
if-
so like
if-
even if she didn't care, but the guy wanted her to be on birth control, whatever.
yeah,
You
like,
think the guy should pay for it?
yeah, the guy should have a
That's
financial
fair.
investment in it because he's the one. Yeah, he's the one dictating the option, right? He's the one dictating the option, even though she might have not been originally comfortable with it.
That's fair.
That's okay.
Yeah. That concern went pretty deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Awesome.
all right.
Yeah.
That's the first one. Ready for the second one? I think this one's a little bit harder, but let's go into it. Okay. This one's by RA172.
What can you repeat that?
This one username is RA172.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to. I'm like, what's his username? Okay, RA172.
Yeah,
Okay.
RA172.
His or her or
Okay. This person is a 19-year-old male. Did my best friend, the best friend is a 24-year-old female. So, did my best friend plan this pregnancy? She told me she was on birth control, and now she's pregnant after we slept together for a few days. She and I have been best friends for 2 years now. We're close and we tell each other everything basically. She had never asked me out on a date or anything until after we found out that she was pregnant. She and I had this tension between us before and we both liked each other, but never did anything about it or mentioned it. Long story short, she and I ended up traveling together and we ended up sharing a hotel to save costs. She came on to me and we had sex all during the trip. I had suggested we use condoms for the first time, but she told me she was on birth control and now that we would be fine without them. I don't want to get this too descriptive, but I tried pulling away from her to ask to at least not finish inside her, but she would leg lock me and ask me to stay there. A few weeks later, she told me that she was pregnant. The baby's 100% mine since I am the only one she had been with at all. After I found out about the pregnancy, she asked me if we could raise the baby together as a couple and see if things work out for us until marriage. I agreed because I have feelings for her and care about her, and now I have the baby on the way. I was just thinking about it and thought maybe this was all planned. Or do you think that this was just an accident and that she's one of the very few to get pregnant despite being on birth control?
I heard all of that, hopefully, right?
Yeah, that's all of it.
I think that there's a couple of red flags that immediately popped in my head while you were describing that situation. He said that they were good friends or best friends, whatever, for 2 years.
Yes.
That means at the time he was 17, he was a minor, and she was, what, 22? That gives me
I
grooming
didn't think about
vibes
that.
here.
Yeah,
That gives me grooming vibes here. Like, obviously, I'm thinking of the very worst, like, kind of pessimistic perspective on that. So that fact alone kind of makes me think like, okay, that kind of makes me lean a little bit more towards, yeah, you might have a case on there being some sort of plan there.
So you are on the side that this could have been planned.
It could have been, yeah. I'm not discounting it.
Yeah, I'm somewhat leaning towards the planning part. Like, that's insane with like the descriptions that you have given. That's with the grooming and like traveling together just by themselves and stuff like that. Guy was trying to take precautions of like birth control with like the condoms and everything, and like she said no. That's that's one of the red flags too. And then I'm gonna finish outside of you, but no, she didn't, and like leg locked him to finish inside her. Yeah, that's like straight up. I don't know if that's considered like sexual assault or is that rape. And, like,
I'm pretty sure it's one of those.
yeah, it's I'm leaning towards it. Like, I'm very leaning hard towards the planning side.
Not sure about grooming. That's pretty borderline. That's entirely possible. But what she did here was like straight up, like what you said, rape or sexual assault. I'm not sure which one it would fall under.
Yeah.
But regardless, she forcefully made him do something he didn't want to do in a sexual context. Right.
Yeah, in that regard, that's why I'm saying, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that other grooming box was also checked.
Yes.
If this is how it plays out.
I didn't think about it that way.
Really?
Like, I heard 2 years and 19, and I'm just like, okay, let's do the math backwards. Okay. Well, he was 17.
So
I was like, this guy's young. This guy's already young.
Part, I can see it. I can see it. I can understand where both you guys are coming from, Silas and Will, and even Gerald. I can see it coming from. I can also see the sexual assault and the rape part because it was done forcefully without him wanting to do it. But that aside, right? He wanted to use a condom, and I don't think she like overpowered him physically to be like, no. I think he still had the choice, but then once they heard the birth control, he went with it without it. Like he's like, whatever, okay, since you say it, I'll trust you. So he just trusted her. And then, I mean, eventually ended up in a pregnancy. So part of me feels like, okay, it's kind of your fault. You should have been pretty stern about that option in the first place. So this way the pregnancy would have never happened. However, thinking about both sides, I can definitely see, yes, I don't know about the grooming, like Gerald said, but I could see the sexual assault thing. But then I also think that he could have just, I don't know, you could just stopped it instead of, if she's like leg locking you, you could have been like, I'm not gonna.
Well, no, there was consent into doing it in the first place. So he's
Yeah.
expecting to finish, just not inside her. Pretty sure it's not that hard to time to be like, and you lock. Right? And you leg lock.
Okay.
Like there's a window where you can tell, right? I mean, I'm not gonna go deep into it. But first thing is first in my mind, I think she didn't take birth control pills. And I think she deceived him.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, hence, I think she planned this all out. She wanted to lock him in figuratively as hers for as long as they raised this child. She even mentioned marriage before him, right? He's 19. And even if you were boyfriend, girlfriend for 2 years, that's not a super long time to be together. And they were only best friends for 2 years, and then now they hooked up, whatever, how many times. And she's talking about marriage, right? So I think she had this plan this whole time. Like, for longer than just the trip. No, maybe not the whole time of their friendship, but for longer than this trip.
Wait, how old was the
24
24 and the 19 male, right?
Yes. Okay, well, William brought up grooming. So what
The reason why I'm bringing up grooming is all these scenarios, to me, it feels like emotional manipulation to a point. Like very slightly, very subtly, there's like emotional manipulation where she's sort of playing him when like they were going to have sex. She's like, oh yeah, I did birth control. That could be lying to him, right? That's a form of emotional manipulation. And then I guess when he didn't want to finish inside her, she said, like, she locked her legs. That's not really emotional. That's more physical. That's why I'm like, hey, this is basically rape, because he said no to a specific thing, and then she basically went against that. Whether or not that exact act was intentional or not, it doesn't matter. That's what happened, right? Like whether she intended that or not, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
I think I'm agreeing more towards the grooming, because like that entire 2-year friendship could have been building up to this point, right?
Yeah.
So then
it might have not been at the very start, but
yeah, at some point something clicked in her mind. And we're like, oh, yeah, I want to do this to this person. It's jumping to a lot of conclusions, but that's where all signs are pointing to me.
Yeah, there's kind of like a large thing, especially with like age disparity in between couples sometimes. Like, especially at 19, he's like pretty much either just out of high school or going into college and stuff like that. Lack of experience. She's 24, was it? Yeah,
Yes.
She's definitely in college, probably graduated, and she has experience most likely. But then even again with the grooming part, like growing up into like the best friend thing, that doesn't take off immediately unless like you're really clicked together and stuff like that. But in regards to this, I don't know. It's just a little sketchy on that part, especially with like the female taking an interest in someone like that young immediately. Like it's a bit of a huge disparity. Unless like the guy was like, maybe let's say he was like 23 or over, like past college, has a bit of experience, life experience and stuff like that. And she was like 30. That can happen. But like 19 and 24, both very juvenile, I would say still. And then it just kind of like coincides with like the grooming part and like taking advantage of it.
The one thing I really sort of want to know is that incident, or not that incident, that moment where she locked her legs in like, he was describing this because they were on they were on some sort of vacation.
Yes.
But he said they were having sex basically throughout the entire vacation. So was that moment that he was describing just once, or like, because I'm assuming they did it multiple times. So like, was it every time, more than once time?
And
once
this,
or
yeah, and
once?
this is exactly what I want to bring up is, playing devil's advocate here. It's hard to give the guy the benefit of the doubt because if, let's say, like William said, that leg locking thing was one time. You were like kind of freaked out by it. You wouldn't continuously keep doing it. Is my
It also
my
could have been the
thought.
last time before, do you know what I mean? Like could have been no leg lock and then no leg lock and then X amount of times and then the last time.
I don't think he was freaked out by it at the time. I think all of this is coming into his head because he now learned that she's pregnant. So during the entire trip, he was probably having the time of his life, right? I don't think any of this like serious talk came into his head until he put the pieces together and then like, hey, there's a possibility that she could have been planning this all along after he got told he was pregnant and after she started talking about marriage and whatnot.
See, I can buy that story more if it was just one time. I think this is me personally. I think I can buy that story more if it's just one time. But then when you said he had the time of his life, he probably did have the time of his life. So he did it multiple times. So then now the whole planning idea, it does get a little bit drowned out between everything else because he.
Yep.
Like,
No,
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. The fact that they did it that many times, and I'm assuming that leg locking thing didn't happen every time, or like it might have been just a one-off sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yes, you can give the girlfriend the I guess the points there.
Well, not points. It's
But,
just
like the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt that
Yes,
like
yes.
that wasn't her intention.
Yeah. That's the only time I can
It could actually just be two dumb, unlucky people.
It very much could be.
Like this whole scenario could actually just be two unlucky, dumb people.
Okay, that's weird because if I was the girl and like again, the unlucky, like you're right, that less than 1% or 1% of the people that do get pregnant while using birth control, right? If I was the girl, I'd have been more freaked out.
That's
But
what I am.
it seems like by the concern, she's pretty
Yeah,
calm
the way
about
the
it.
way that she's handling it, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Because if she got pregnant, I think I'd be freaking out because I'd be one, mad because it wasn't planned, obviously. Two, you took all this effort to take a contraceptive, but it didn't work. So you being calmly about, hey, let's just raise the baby and let's just stay together until we get married. That's a very like, okay, again, the only benefit of the doubt I can give her is maybe she just mature and just being like just calm about it because there's no way
Yes,
you
they
can
said
change the
3
past.
days, right? 3 days later she was pregnant, right? So like I'm
Yes,
assuming
few days later.
Yeah, a few days later. Playing devil's advocate here, she might have had the time to sort of process all of that before, actually talking to him about it, right?
That's a pretty tough.
I know,
part to
it's a pretty tough one, but I'm saying anything's possible. I
This
mean,
is true.
Yeah, I can't.
mean,
again, we don't know, right?
Don't
if
we
we're,
don't
under,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
if we're under the assumption that she did take those contraceptives, like,
Yeah.
anything's possible because she got pregnant.
I'm very 70-30 on this on the side of she planned it.
70-30.
Yeah. Because she could just be like, I don't know, super into him and doesn't, wants him to have the time of his life on a few days trip,
Yeah,
right?
topics like this is really interesting because this was his story, right? This is
Yeah, that's
his
true.
side of the thing, right?
We can
Things like
only-
this, I think it's always a he said, she said, and literally if she explains her side of the story, like it could be the exact same, but she could change a few words here and there. That 70-30 might be a completely different number.
Or the
I don't know
same
how
thing.
you would change it, but like
I don't think you would ever switch to like where it's 70% the guy plan.
no, not like
Not the
no, I'm
guy
saying
plan.
no, I'm saying like so like when we're saying 70-30, it's either planned or not planned.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Not like 70. It's not 70. She planned 30. He planned like that kind of.
I get- yeah.
Nothing like that.
I do want to give the benefit of the doubt, right? Like 2 years, she didn't ask him out, and you're right. And with the math working out, like William said, he would have been 17. I personally don't feel like grooming is into this situation. Maybe until, like, again, not in the starting, maybe later. But I think, when people have vacation brain where they don't really care about a lot of things when they're in vacation. I think that could have been a cause of it. However, I can't get rid of the idea that there was some planning involved. Like from the girl's side.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I understand birth control pills is like you have to be taking them, right? It's not an instant like it works, right?
It's not like
yeah.
Plan B.
So like they were on this vacation and then like it reached to that point where they're going to have sex and she's like, I'm already prepared. I took birth control pills.
Well,
so it's like,
It's also not just for sex though, right?
I know, but
also I just realized if you were on a trip, you must have been for at least a couple of days. Let's say 1 night, 2 days. It's just like less than minimum because obviously they put it. Wouldn't you have seen her take it? Wouldn't you have asked? Because again, like William said, this just came into my brain right now. It's the thing from what I know, and I'm sure this is what everyone you guys know too, is you have to take it every day on the same time to be effective. So then, wouldn't you have seen it?
I don't know. No, she like that point. She might have just been taking it when he's not there, right?
Or like you said, vacation brain where they don't really pay attention to other stuff.
Exactly. Like, just like that moment she goes to the washroom and, for an outsider, it might be she's just using the washroom. But for her, it might be just that time to take the pill.
That part we don't know.
Yeah.
But that is a good point.
I think I would have liked to see her take it, and if I was in this situation.
Gosh, she's like, I took birth control. Show me.
Prove it.
Prove it. Yeah.
Well, like still though, right? Like, I think that's the first question I would have asked is like, okay, well, let's say I find out she was pregnant. The first question I was asked is like, just out of curiosity, like I wouldn't be upset at her or anything like that, but I'd be like, what's out of curiosity? When during the trip did you take these pills? And if she gives me like an answer that's legit, like, like William, I was in the bathroom. When I was in the bathroom every day at night at like 9 p.m.? Yeah, then I'd be like, okay, that's fair. But I think that's the first question I would ask, because if she gives me some bozo answer, then I'll be like, okay, clearly it was planned. Yeah, whoa here. Right? That's the first question that would have came into my mind if I thought it was planned. Wouldn't maybe just me, but I feel like I would ask. I'm like, hey, when did you what you said you took it? I believed you, and I'm not believing you now. I'm just curious. I know that you have to take it every day at the same time. When during the trip did you take it? Because I didn't see it at all during the trip. If RA 172 saw it at least once, I don't think he would have this idea, because at least she's trying to show that it wasn't planned. But from my assumption here is he didn't see it at all. Never once there was a time where she took it.
I would agree with that. I would agree that if he saw her take it, then I don't think it would be even in his mind that she planned it.
Yeah.
Right? I think she would she took a chance on having him finish inside, and she's just risking it because she knows she's on the pill. But the thing that tips me off is how quickly she's like, hey, let's raise this. Let's get married eventually. And I guess the fact that he didn't actually see her take it.
Again, that one could be like, I think I could lean towards William.
That could be a coping mechanism as to
That's true.
her way of dealing with the situation, right?
Yeah.
Like she could say all that stuff and he could say no. And honestly, she could be still okay with that, right? I'm not saying that she will be, but that might be just one of the ways that she has to sort of process what's just happened, whether or not what she's asking for is executed or not. Yeah, this story is primed for one of those like, oh man, it happened to one of these few people where like this person manipulated this person behind the scenes, that kind of stuff. Like it's totally primed for that kind of scenario.
See this on Maury.
Or
like Dr. Phil, or one of those shows.
It'd be funny if it's more. It's like, he's not your child. What? Okay, well, that's a question I want to ask you guys. I thought of this when I was reading it. Is, do you think this act should be illegal? As in, to be more specific, as in like, hey, I took birth control, and the female tells the male, hey, I took birth control, I'm completely safe, and then the guy does it and then but then actually factually, later on it comes out as she wasn't. So she led him on in that situation. And then she eventually got pregnant. Do you think that act should be illegal?
Absolutely. Like there's no cause for like okay, like just in consideration for like pregnancy and everything, it's like only woman can get woman can get like pregnant and everything, right? But it like for like to be like a 50-50 thing is like one side claims falsehood and the other claims like true, right? But then like years later on, like they get the person who lied gets like disproven, right? Like what that person basically ruined the other party's life or whatever to like a certain extent, right? So like saying something that you have taken, for example, like birth control pills and whatnot, you eventually get pregnant. Yeah, there's gonna be like a huge like mistrust in between like the two parties, whether or not like they agreed to it to a certain extent, right? So like didn't plan a pregnancy, but they did get pregnant. If they're both consenting adults and they both take the responsibility, right? Then that should be okay. But like one party didn't and the other party did, yeah, that becomes really like it just
Isn't it illegal?
I don't think so.
I mean, rape's illegal.
Isn't that a form of assault, sexual assault or rape?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
sexual-
I thought it was. I was under like I have no like documentation or anything, but
I think
I would think it was.
Because the thing is, I don't know for sure, but I feel like it isn't because it would be hard to prove that she wasn't on it. How would you be able to prove that unless you have? I guess you could like give receipts.
Can't you test her though?
Yeah.
For
hormonal.
hormone levels?
But then
Yeah,
again,
whatever.
assuming let's say like RA said 172, they had the trip. She got pregnant during the trip, most likely. Then a couple of days later, she was pregnant. So then later, if you test it after, wouldn't the
Can you
pregnancy
still- I see
hormones
what you mean.
be there at that point instead of the birth control hormones?
Yeah, but where you posed the question as if it was proven false that she didn't take
I
it,
see.
right?
I guess
if we're going to your question that it's been proven false, and then you're like, should this kind of act be illegal?
Yeah.
Right. Silas said yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if it can be proven, yes, that should be illegal. But I think thinking realistically, it's very hard to do that, and it's near impossible. But if it was proven later down the road that this was false, I think the important portion that I'm thinking of is the guy's financial obligation to her should be cut off. Like he should be like free from, I guess, child support, I think you would call that.
Okay.
I think that's the most important part, because like, let's say like she has the kid and then like he's paying child support or whatever, and he finds out and then he proves this. I think it's just a simple case. Like he should be able to just cut that off because it wasn't something that he, I guess, signed up for in the beginning.
Assuming they're not raising it together, right?
Yeah. Like
They're not already raising it.
yeah,
especially between like split like parents, for example, right?
Yeah.
It should like coming along that, and instead of like cutting it off and like it has been proven that it was false,
Yeah.
right? Then it
she should be
reversed.
penalized for that, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
but under sort of other reasons, like other laws, I'm thinking, rather than like she lied. That's against the law.
Perjury.
Yeah, it's just like
I think. What about you?
I do too. I believe it should be illegal.
It should be illegal. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
100%.
I wouldn't say Silas said ruining the other person's life, and I could see it again, especially in the aspect of they're not together, right?
I can see the law being put in place. I just don't see the
Enforcement.
effectiveness.
Yeah,
of it.
I just don't know how it would be enforced.
Yeah. I
because
mean, like, there's a lot of things that are probably illegal that we don't know of, and we'd probably break it. But it's just like, who the
knows, right?
Yeah, who the F
'Cause
is gonna?
my idea is how would it be enforced is the only issue, is because eventually it'll go down to he said, she said, and the only way they could actually prove that she wasn't on birth control would be looking at her like bank statements or like financial statements, because
Even then, she could have bought it and not used it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So it's
I feel like we just don't know. There might be a way. I feel like there is a way. I just don't know what it is. To like, there's not like a
To
medical test.
medically test her.
I feel like there is, but I don't actually. I don't know. I don't know of one.
And what about you? Do you think it should be illegal?
I think it should be very illegal. Just like when she locked her legs around him, that should be illegal. And I'm pretty sure it could be considered legal, right?
That was like unconsented. That's the reason why.
That's kind of debatable
Or
though,
debatable,
because
yeah.
consent was already. I agree with what you're saying, but like consent was already agreed to in the beginning, right? So it's going to be like, again, the whole trying to prove that it actually he said, she said, whether or not he wanted this to happen or not the pregnancy. The
Yeah,
leg
and then again, the leg lock, could have resulted in pregnancy. That could have not resulted in pregnancy. We don't know that. That's just, we don't know, right? So
especially because they did it so many times.
yeah, I understand the leg lock and how it could be. It is a problem, but there's no way of, again, it's a he said, she said issue. The reason why I asked that is because actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but I don't know if you know the act of stealthing.
Oh, yeah.
I guess Silas does.
Yeah, like the idea that I heard about this recently too, is about, it's the idea that when two people are having sex with a guy's wearing a condom, he stealthily takes off the condom and then resumes sex.
Is that what they call that?
Yeah, that's what I found. So, and then,
Wait, what is it called?
Stealthing.
Stealthing. My goodness.
Yeah. So then the reason I found out is I was reading news, and apparently Australia 2 days ago made it illegal as
To
an
stealth?
act. Yeah, to stealth.
Oh,
Stealthing.
When you said Australia, I'm like, are they highest rate of stealthing, or
No.
where are we getting at?
Yeah,
Here?
they illegally banned it. They passed it. It's
wow.
against the law now. So
Wow.
in Australia, and I think that's fine. I think that's completely okay. I think that's, again, at that point, that's not consensual. I think the idea of, in that aspect, consent was given with protection, but then once it's gone away,
Exactly.
that consent goes away. But then it's the same idea. Like, the reason why I
It's
asked,
so hard to enforce because it's like, okay, the guy could be like, oh yeah, we were doing it, and then he came off, but none of us noticed. Right?
Same
you're right.
situation,
Same situation, and that's one of the reasons why I asked. It's,
I don't know if it's, I can't remember if I was reading between the lines or something like this. I read not too long ago either, or maybe it was like a while back. Especially with like consenting, like sure you can consent to sex and everything like that, but once one party says no, then it doesn't become consensual at all.
yes, I
then-
agree
Of
with
course.
you. I agree with
of course.
Yeah.
But the
So-
whole, like, that's why the whole leg lock, it doesn't seem unconsensual. There's a gray line. I think if he said no, I think he would have like maybe forcefully got out of there.
He tried to.
Oh, did I read it wrong? Maybe.
Yeah, no, that's what that's what I kind of remember in that part.
Yeah. He made it clear that he tried to pull out.
Yeah, he tried to pull and finish not inside her, but she leg locked him. Is what I remember when.
Yeah, leg locked me and asked me to stay there. So she asked. So
I guess she asked again, and
But the condom part, like she say she didn't want the condom to be
no.
worn?
She said
Said
it was
he didn't
okay because she had birth control.
Oh.
So that one is on him. He
she
made
didn't.
that
Yeah, she
decision.
didn't refuse the condom. She
Oh, okay,
just
okay.
provided
Oh,
the other option. Whether or not that was an actual option that was there to begin with, that's
A
to be
different story.
debated.
Yeah.
I thought I heard that part, so I was like, oh.
Yeah. So the option was given. He suggested it, and she obviously said that, hey, no, I'm on birth control. It'll be fine without them. So she didn't say I don't want them at all. She's just like, I'll be fine without them. So then he obviously was like, you know what? I'm 19 years old. Whatever.
That's going to be tough because he made all the decisions here, except for trying to pull out, and she kept him. But then, like you said, she asked again.
And then the thing is too about the leg lock is we don't know if that's the act that caused the
Conceived,
pregnancy.
yeah,
So I understand that it is a gray area and it's not right, but I don't think that's like the overarching problem with this situation.
It's not the be all end all.
Yeah. Was she on birth control? Was she lying? If she was lying, if she was lying, I don't know.
What's the course of action?
Yeah.
How do you prove that? Right.
Get a good ass lawyer.
Polygraph.
Yeah.
What is it? Polygraph.
But again, that's not even 100%
I know,
accurate,
I
right?
know.
So it's like, and I'm sure there are people out there that have been victim of that, where the girl's like,
yeah.
I'm on birth control. And then she actually wasn't, but nobody knows. And then if it was illegal, how would you enforce that? What would be the course of action to?
You'll need some police supervision every time.
God. Supervision.
That's the only way. If you want to really enforce it, it's got to be
Yeah.
supervised every time.
carry around.
Twosome's always going to be a threesome at that point.
Yikes.
If they're trying to enforce it. I'm not saying that, we should go there.
But you know what, though?
That's the only solution in my mind.
You made a good point where stealthing is illegal and you're like, how would they enforce that? I think it's a good idea just to have it. Because I think if something is illegal, it will be a deterrent.
Yes.
It's not going to
True. I agree with that.
everything.
Yeah. At the very least.
Yeah. At the very least, it'll be like, oh, crap, it's against the law now. I think it'll be on people's minds.
It's not going to catch the worst of the worst people, but it'll still, get some people. I would think. Like,
So-
it would like get to them, like, as in like, oh man, like maybe before they thought about stealthing, but after the law came out, now it's like no more, right? I mean, it's not going to stop the people that are like dead set on doing it, but it may stop people that may consider that.
Yeah, exactly. So your opinion on it is if it was true, if she said she was on birth control and she lied about it, you think, and somehow it got proven, you think that
she should be punished duly, but it might not. Yeah, it's kind of weird for me because it's kind of like, I don't even know how they would really prove that, but like if they did, yeah, she should be punished for it. I 100% agree. If the roles were reversed, right? Same thing.
Yeah, and then the penalty for that, what you're saying is no child support.
That is a form of penalty.
Okay.
That I don't know what other
Penalties
penalties we could give. Like, was send her to jail? Okay.
I think that'd be a little hard.
Take care of the kid.
Yeah,
I know. Like,
He has to take care
it's like send her to jail, but what about her kid?
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
It's just it's like,
But in this specific case, it doesn't sound like he's completely against the idea of raising the kid. He actually cares about her and potentially about this kid. He just had it in his mind that, did she set this up?
I don't know.
to be fair, like, he might be a little scared of being a father, and then
Yes.
maybe that's how he conjured up this scenario in his head.
Knee jerk,
right?
kind of like a knee jerk reaction.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh yeah, like, there are these very tidbits of when they were together, and it's just like, oh, could that have been planned? Could that have been planned? Like, you're like kind of being paranoid and kind of like picking every moment where like
You're overthinking it.
like it's a possibility. Yes, of course it could have been, but like he's kind of like amplifying it.
I could see that. I just don't feel like, I mean, even if it was a knee-jerk reaction, it's a pretty good reaction because all the evidence that we have of like Locke, like not seeing her taking the birth control
And telling him that he doesn't need a condom.
Yeah. So even if it was a knee-jerk, I could see it's not the wrong reaction. Like I could totally see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
But
it could definitely be overthinking it, but it wouldn't be wrong if that was true. Like his thought process is not wrong. Like it can't be like, oh man, you're completely off base. Like I don't think it's that.
In relation to the end, I guess the end of the trip, when did she have the conversation with him about, hey, I'm pregnant. Hey, let's see if we can.
Was it the end of the trip?
No, it says few days
Later.
later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the trip happened. They obviously did it, and then a few days later, she found. Okay, but would you find out that quickly?
I don't know. Maybe she had some signs. Symptoms of.
That quickly though? That can't be.
In my head right now, like I'm totally not giving her the benefit of the doubt in this statement, but in my head it's like, ooh, am I pregnant? Ooh, am I pregnant yet?
Few weeks later.
Oh, few weeks.
Yeah, few weeks. So
It's not a few days.
Okay,
yeah, so
okay.
in the title it does say after we slept together after we slept together for a few days, and then in the actual concern it says a few weeks later she told me that she was pregnant. So then this makes more sense.
Yeah. Like that helps her case a little
It
bit.
does.
What if it was a few days? You were checking every day or what?
Yeah, she wants it at that point. That's what in my head it's like,
Well,
why?
it's not like she's checking every day. She could have maybe maybe she thought it was something else for a couple of days, and then like the few days is like very
No.
arbitrary, right?
I guess.
It could be.
I don't think you'd get that quickly of symptoms or anything like that in a few days.
I'm not an expert, so I don't know.
I'm not either. I'm
I'm
could've been-
assuming you could experience symptoms
feel
and
like
you
you
could
could.
find out.
Like if it was close to her period and she missed it.
that
That's
could be the
very
biggest
true,
one.
yeah.
That could be the biggest one. Yeah, you're right.
Right?
That's true.
I feel like that could be possibly a few days, right?
Yeah.
But even then, it wasn't. It was a few weeks.
Yes,
there was time.
A few weeks.
Yeah.
Which
So
I
there-
think supports her reaction
Yeah.
to the whole thing.
It could have given her time to kind of cope with it, to kind of internalize that, hey, I want this child. I want to see if this person that I care deeply about also wants to keep it.
Okay, so we talked about the post. Now let's talk about what should he do. He's
Wasn't-
obviously paranoid.
Wasn't his question just, do you think it was planned?
I guess so. Yeah.
No.
So like to how would we ease his
What's the guy's name again?
RA 172?
Right. I'm just like, it's a weird one. All right. RA 172.
To
Yeah. So it's like, do we think, as in us four, do we think that it was just an accident and that she was one of the people that get pregnant despite on birth control, or do you think it was planned? And there's no, obviously, he didn't like ask for like, oh, what should I do now? But it's kind of like, what do we think? But a lot of people here think it's planned, right? So if it was planned, what do you think he should do?
There's a couple of red flags here that kind of direct us towards that direction. I think that's why, based on how you describe the situation, yes, there was some sort of planning. I'm not sure if she like really wanted to get pregnant at that moment, but
Okay, so we all somewhat agree it was planned. What do you think he should do? If you were in that situation, what would be your next step?
I personally think they kind of lucked out that it doesn't sound like he's freaking out. I think he feels like it's a very viable option to raise this child with her. That's the vibe I'm getting. It's like he's paranoid, yes. Like it's like a big change in his life, but he's still considering raising this child.
Well, but whoa. Maybe like after he hears our opinions, might be like, man, what if maybe he gets more paranoid and then he won't maybe he won't think it's a viable plan anymore.
That's true.
Because right now he might obviously think like, it's probably not planned. But then once like, four guys here are saying, yo, dude, that's pretty sketch. Like we think it's planned. Maybe he'll be like, what the heck? Maybe.
I think it's unfortunate. It might have been valuable to have a female's perspective or input into this sort of scenario. If it I think if we say yes, like, yes, this was planned, right? I think you're right. It'll drive him to like sort of like his mind about wanting to raise the child may change. And I think that's perfectly valid, because if this was planned and he wasn't aware of the plan, he sort of got fooled into it. And if that's the case for this kind of thing, what other stuff is she capable of fooling him into, right?
That's a good point.
If that was true, if it was a yes, that's why yes, like all the circumstantial evidence that he's given us points towards yes. But for me, I want to clarify for myself that giving you that yes answer is it can be a very dangerous answer for him. I think yes, you have every right to feel that way. I would say yes personally, but please don't be like, oh yeah, I got the answer now. Like, it's planned.
I don't want the blood on my hands.
Exactly.
Really
Oh my
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'm giving my opinion, but don't listen to it.
Yeah. No, you can think about it and stuff. Just don't refer to me when something happened.
But he's actually asking you. He's asking you what you
asking your
think. He's
opinion.
asking
Yeah,
you.
this is what I think.
So it'd be hard to say, this is what I think, but don't believe what I say because I don't want you to be freaking out and whatever.
Well, yeah, because any of our answers could be wrong.
It could
be wrong.
If I was in your situation, the best thing I would do is somehow find proof. But good luck with that. That's gonna be way harder to do than anything. So you're right. I kind of feel what William's saying. It's a lot of us here think that it might be planned. It might be planned, and we probably think it's planned. We could be wrong, but we think it. Do we want to send you down this road of paranoia and all these things? Not really. If it does, again, what my first action would be trying to find proof. If you can't find any proof, then there's no evidence for it. I mean, she's innocent until proven guilty. So assuming that it wasn't, just know that it wasn't planned. If you can find proof, then that's a whole different story. And if you can, send us what happens if you find proof, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I would like an updated.
Next episode.
If it comes, then sure. But I just don't think I don't think you'll be able to find proof. So therefore, I think it's just safer to just not assume that she planned this. She's 24 too. She has her whole life ahead of her. I don't know. Like, I can see how someone would want a baby really badly and start a family really badly.
There are people like that. There are people who
24 is a pretty good age. I think.
There are people who want to bear child at a very young age. Like
That's true.
That's their looking forward to life sort of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Right?
I don't even.
I mean,
think,
it's not common around the people I know, but
I don't even think that's that young to have a kid. 24 is a pretty good age to have a kid, in my opinion, as a mother. So I don't think it's too far off. Her age is too far off to want to become a mother.
But then I would argue that yes, you're right. I would agree that 24 is not that old, or not that young. Sorry, to have a child. But I would argue that most 24-year-olds are married and are very financially stable if they want to have a kid.
Okay, yeah. So not necessarily her age, but like
The mentality,
the maturity
and like,
of kind of her environment.
Exactly.
and this brings me back to it might have been just two stupid people that just had an unfortunate incident here, right? Like if our assumption is people who want kids at 24 are like, mature, financially stable, all that stuff that defines, you're an adult, right?
I think
if that's the way that we're assuming it, like, and clearly it's kind of telling us that she might not be, then like it could just be one of those unlucky bro kind of situations.
Oh my.
The big thing here is whether or not it's planned. It doesn't sound to me like she's planning at all to have an abortion. So this kid is getting born.
Yes, I feel like so. I feel like that too.
But that could be just a personal sort of belief or conviction towards that topic, right?
Well, what I'm getting at is this kid's going to be born.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's feeling an obligation to be a part of this kid's life, right? Whether or not the mother is going to force him or whatever to.
It's really big at an age of 19.
He's so
Whether
young.
or not-
That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To have to
he's
make
so
that
young.
choice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the main concern right now should be whether or not it was planned. The main concern should be like, how am I going to help take care of this kid now?
Yeah, at 19.
Or like, what are my options, I guess? Not necessarily like, what am I going to contribute to this kid's life? Am I going to contribute to this kid's life or am I not? If he has those options, like, what are his options?
I think that's very important.
I think
irrespective of whether or not it's a lie,
Right.
like the kid is there. Once the child is born, I think it's very heartless and inhumane to sort of cut yourself off from that.
And even then, like I feel like we're sidestepping the big decision that he has to make here.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to decide whether or not he can trust her, whatever, blah, blah, blah. End of the line, I think it's a bigger issue, a bigger decision to make. What part do you want to play in this kid's life? Because he's going to get born. He or she's going to get born.
Okay, so you actually mentioned this. I actually got a question for everyone here. We're looking at a hypothetical situation. It's not real. Hypothetical. Let's say she was pregnant. She's early pregnancy, like month in, let's just say 6 weeks, month and a half pregnant, let's just say. And it was somehow proven that she was lying. I guess the question is, would you be okay for the woman to have the choice to do whatever she wants with the baby? Did that question make sense?
Yeah. You're basically
Pro-life or pro-choice is what you're saying.
No. It's more like because now at this point we've been proven she committed a atrocious act, and we all believe that it should be illegal,
Okay.
right? But then now this baby hasn't been born yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? So after we're born, then take child support, whatever, some kind of penalty. So then, what would be the penalty during the pregnancy? I guess. Because,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, that would be the difference. Yeah,
House arrest. That might be
house arrest.
doable until like they impose like a proper like sentencing. Like let's say.
Does that mean she still has to have the kid, or like?
Let's assume the guy doesn't want the kid because he didn't want it. So then, but then we
it's unplanned. So technically, he was going into it thinking he's not going to have a kid.
Yeah. So then but then also, in our eyes, in our minds, she committed an illegal act. But then, so then, would you just let the women just keep it, or do you think that the government at that point should be like, you broke the, you committed an atrocious act?
That's very spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I don't want to get too pro-life or pro-choice.
Yeah, so I don't want to make this.
I don't
political.
want to get too much into
That's
that.
what this is essentially.
But I think that the guy has every right to have custody of the child if he really wanted. So like, the child should be born, and then if he really wants to have the child, right? I mean, if he's indifferent about it, okay, well, whatever, right?
Because he didn't want it.
Yeah, if he didn't want it. But his mind could change.
But what if he's dead set on not wanting it?
Yeah.
What if
If
he
he's
doesn't
dead,
want it?
obviously, if he's dead set on not wanting it, then I think he has the right to be free of all responsibility of the
Okay.
child. And
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if
So
he really did,
the choice is the woman. If you want to keep it, that's up to you, right? However, don't expect the guy to be part of.
Don't
Yeah.
At
expect
all.
child support. Don't expect any of the good stuff. I
Yeah.
guess.
I think it goes back again that he shouldn't have the obligation because he had no say in it.
Yeah. So that wasn't political. It's just more like, what would?
Yeah, I was
like to-
kind of thinking like if he kind of wanted the kid, right? Like let's think the opposite, right? Like
Yeah.
he kind of changes his mind. He feels like this child is basically a part of him, right? Like biologically, and like he might feel like this is something that he doesn't want to, like, maybe he's that kind of person. He wants to actually maybe try and raise the child, right? Then I think he also has then every right to.
Then I agree. If that happened,
He has every right to the custody
like I
of the
think
child.
100% custody should go to the dad at that point.
If he wants it. Yeah.
If he wants it. But then now it's like my head is turning. It's just like, what if the dad wants it but the mom doesn't?
She committed the illegal act. Isn't that her punishment?
I guess. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's about it.
That's pretty spicy too.
Yeah.
That is very spicy there. I don't know. I don't have a concrete answer for that. For situation A, where the dad doesn't want anything to do with the kid, but the mom is having it either way, then yes, I feel like he should have every right to not be a part of the kid's life.
Okay, yeah, that's what I agree with too.
If he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
He has,
But if he wants it, is that where it gets?
if he wants it and she doesn't, I don't
want to go down because
I don't
want to
have
go
an
down there because
I don't have an answer.
I don't have an answer for that either. And again, it's just not a road that I hope.
I mean,
anyone-
obviously,
yeah,
obviously,
about
we
that.
don't wish this or want this upon anybody.
Yeah.
But I thought that would be interesting to kind of talk about, just because it's kind of a very strange situation where it's like, it's the typical, the woman should have a choice or whatever, but why did she have to come to this choice? She committed an illegal act, and then she's
That's
at this
true.
waypoint, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a discussion of, does she have this right at this point, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah, and that just seems like it'd be a long conversation about a lot of what ifs, and I
There's-
don't. Yeah.
Yeah. People have been debating that for years, right?
Yeah. So
And I don't expect to have an answer in an hour-long podcast.
yeah, and this is for just our opinions. It's not
Yeah,
to get
exactly.
political and
Yeah,
like that, so.
exactly.
All right, I think that wraps about for this episode. Let's just do a quick review. We had a lot to talk about. We had 2 concerns today, but
Yeah.
we had four people, 2 guests.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick wrap up. Silas, if you can wrap up this one, is my parents think my boyfriend should help pay for my birth control. What the heck do I do?
Yeah, to like a certain extent, don't let the parents influence you, or like any third party influence like the relationship that you have between your partner and yourself financially. But if you feel like you want to pay, like, go ahead and pay, but like you shouldn't be obligated to do it to a certain extent. But again, it depends on like how long of a relationship that you had, that you invested into it. Short term relationship, short term fixes, just say condom. But if it's a long term investment, like in vitro and stuff like that, then yeah, that can be a discussion that you can talk with your partner in regards to that. So again, if you guys are 3 weeks in, don't let your parents influence you.
It doesn't say 3 weeks.
A
Just
few years,
or-
wasn't it?
The first?
no. The one that we talked about. It doesn't just. Oh, you're right. 3 weeks.
I said 3 weeks.
Oh, you're right. 100%. I
Wow.
thought it didn't specify. It was just fresh. I didn't. Yeah, you're right. You
Yeah,
picked
3
up
weeks.
good.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Damn,
Yeah.
3 weeks and they're already UTI. That's an interesting life.
Okay.
Interesting life. I'll just put it that way.
He makes a
and-
good point though.
Yeah, he makes a good point. I didn't think about it until now. And well, can you wrap this up? Is my best friend planned his pregnancy. She told me she was on birth control, and now she's pregnant after we slept together for a few days.
Wow, this one spicy as it could get. I think all of us were leaning more towards the yes side based on the scenarios that you put out to us, based on, I guess, your evidence. But obviously, I claim for myself at the end of the day. Please don't, think of this as an absolute answer, and you have to get all paranoid and all that kind of stuff. We just think that what you're thinking isn't completely off base, and obviously, it'd be very nice for yourself, especially. I mean, us as listeners would like more details, but for you to get more, I guess, more if it's really bothering you, I guess attempt to collect more evidence that supports that thought that you just had.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Penny for Our Thoughts.
William, Silas, thanks for joining us once again. You guys truly are the number 2 and 3 fans of the show.
We still haven't have number one yet.
Yeah, we don't have a number 1.
No, the number one has to reveal themselves.
Number 1
And
is
then-
split between you and me. I think John.
Well, okay, I'm not counting the hosts. I'm counting other
I
people.
see,
So
okay.
if they show up and I size them up, then I'll make my decision on if I stay number 2.
Again, I appreciate you guys coming on, and
Yes.
everyone who is listening. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you have a concern, John, where should they direct their concerns to?
And if you'd like a third-party opinion, please give us an email givesometous@gmail.com. Again, that is just givesometous@gmail.com. And once again, thank you for Will and Silas for, again, listening to the podcast and being a guest again for the second time and being part of our very first ever episode of 2 guests and total of 4 people.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. And as always, stay kind to each other.